Y'all, I am so excited for SIFU. I like fighting games. A lot of people don't know that. I love fighting games, but I love open games like this. And why do I like SIFU? Because SIFU is a game about going out and beating ass. Okay, it's a little bit more rigid than that. It's a story. There's a lot going on, but it's a fighting game. I'm mostly excited because it's a fighting game. And a lot of people have seen me on Twitter. If you follow my Twitter, if you don't follow my Twitter, you should rectify that. They know that I call myself retired FGC because I just am not into the games like the way I used to when I was younger. I used to be a really big Tekken player. Thought Virtual Fighter was cool, but never really got into it. And then there's, of course, your Street Fighters, your Guilty Gears, your DNF duels that people are excited about. But my preferred fighting style is Tekken, and in this case, the second game from the Sloclap studio, the creators of Absolver, which is going to be SIFU, which is a roguelike fighting game. Things that you didn't expect to put together on a regular basis, a roguelike style fighting game. It is based around you being a pupil out to avenge your SIFU with a string of magic pendants that every time you KO, you age. And the thing you want to do is you want to try and clear the game before you age out. I want to say that the cap age is 80. I think it's 80. Later on in the video, we'll look at the pendants. We'll talk about how that's rolled out. But very plainly, let's talk about Sloclap proper. So Sloclap is the creator of Absolver, and if you've played Absolver, then you already know what you're walking into, to be perfectly frank. It's going to be lots of different fighting styles, lots of different ways to approach your enemies, and have different activations from side profiles, front profiles, back profiles, utilization of weapons. Now, unlike Absolver, you're not going to have weapon trees and skill trees where you have to load in kind of like a card system of skills. Instead, what you're going to do here is you just have your character and he can learn his set of moves and that's it. Which, on a very, very personal note, I kind of prefer that. I kind of prefer it. Just because it makes my life a little bit easier than having to keep track of 3 or 4 distinct fighting styles and then mixing and matching them and hoping that they flow well. He has one fighting style and sticking to that. Another thing that's very distinct about this from Absolver, when you're playing Absolver, you might get combat with 2, maybe 3 people at once. I think the worst thing you had in Absolver was having to fight 2 boss-style people at once. But in terms of regular mobs, no, it was usually like topped out at 2 or 3, with the worst case being 1 boss and 1 trash. Here in SIFU, as you can see, I'm running around and taking advantage of the environment because if you walk into a club of 10, you better be ready to fight a club of 10. It's not messing with you. It's not playing around. You have to be smart about your utilization of moves. You have to be smart about your placement. You have to think about whether or not you want to keep engaging or you want to back up and dodge. And you have to really think about, how do I take care of person X and Y without Z and A coming over to pop me in the back of my head? And so you'll get a lot of opportunity to really play with things and really explore, how do you want to fight? What kind of fighter are you? And I'm telling you, as someone who is middling at fighting games at this stage, running away is not just an option. I cannot express to you how many different instances where I recommend it. I recommend it. So you can see in these combats here that there are plenty of times that it just gets a little bit too spicy. Whoops, sorry about that. It gets a little bit too spicy. It gets a little bit too hot and heavy. So I just back out. I just back out and I let them kind of realign themselves so that I can say, okay, let's fight now. You have kind of your mini boss people, your mini bosses that'll eventually turn into regular mobs. And we're coming up on my first death here, I believe, because I think she just mollywops me with these big old, like, concert girl shoes. Although her outfit is a vibe. I'm not gonna lie, her outfit's a vibe. Anyway, as I was saying, this is not one where you're gonna get the time to just focus on 2 or 3 at once. You're gonna have situations where there's 10 or 12 people. And as you can see, the death counter goes up by 1. And in turn, your age goes up by 1. You want to beat this before you're 80. Now, the way that the death counter works specifically is that if you die too many times consecutively, that death counter will continue to go up. And as you die, the next time I would die, so let's say if I died to her a second time, the death counter would say 2. my next age would be 23. And if I died to a third time, it would go up to 3, and then my next counter would be 26. It's cumulative. So if you just get too squirrely, the game absolutely will punish you for being just too rambunctious and out of control in your gameplay. Now, a couple of seconds ago, you saw a couple of white swirls come around me. That shows that my death counter has reduced by 1. So my death counter in the upper left is back down to 0. Ideally, even if you wind up having to die, you want to keep that counter at 0. This way, your age is only ever going up by 1 at any given instance. That'll elongate your entire process. It'll keep you from stacking age really quickly. My first playthrough and trying to understand mechanics, I literally cleared it and I was 74. And it was because I got the counter up to about a good 7 and it just kept stacking. It's brutal. It is brutal. You can see that we have the multiplier on the bottom right here. Something else that wasn't available in Absolver. Now you have a way to really quantify how you're performing in combat. So most of your fights with the trash mobs are going to be 20 and 40 points apiece. What you want to do is dodge, block, and parry your way out of situations, and then retaliate so that your multiplier can go up. So, for example, if I parry a guy and counter like I did just here, my multiplier is now 2, it's double points. As soon as I take a hit, the multiplier drops right back down to 1. So it's going to be a system that rewards you specifically for how clean can you keep your fights. Again, I advise if you need to run, run. You have 3 different things here that you can upgrade. The first one is based on your age. The younger you are, the more access to skills you have. Your score is based on how you're performing in the actual level. And then your XP accumulates as you're just running through and, frankly, beating up people. XP is an interesting quantity specifically because you use it for that third tree that we just saw, but you also use it to unlock moves. Now, I mentioned previously you don't have to worry about learning 2 or 3 different trees and going out and learning them from people and waiting for your skill to accumulate until you learn it and win a fight with it. Instead, you use your XP to unlock things, and as you can see underneath there, under all of these it says locked, or you can open it, and then it says permanent unlock. What I'm thinking happens with permanent unlock, again, this was a preview and it was a relatively short preview, is you can set it up such that once you've permanently unlocked it, if you have to start a run over, you don't have to worry about relearning weapon catch or ground counter. Now it's just permanently there. I like the ground counters because I'll be real with you, I'm a bully. I'm not a grappler, I'm just a bully. You can see the 5 pendants here, each one indicates a decade. So you have 30, 40, 50, 60, and 70. Every time you get to the next decade, one of your pendant pieces will break. So once you hit 70, you'll be out of pieces, and that's why the game ends when you hit 80. I'm really interested to see how the story is going to play out, but again, this was focused on primarily the gameplay and how combat works. You have to be deliberate. You cannot go out there and just mash your buttons. It's not going to work in your favor. You will die a lot, and you will struggle to get through the first couple of chapters. The biggest reason I think I'm interested in story, however, is because given that this is a roguelike style game and you will die at 80, I'm wondering how long the game is going to be. And to be clear, I'm not wondering how long it is from a is this valuable standpoint. I'm wondering how long it's going to be from a playability standpoint. I already can tell you I'm going to buy this. I'm not going to pass this up unless, of course, they come out and they're like, oh, by the way, it's $70. And at that point, I'm going to be like, wow, no. But I'm most likely, if not definitely, going to buy this. And I will have no problem replaying it. I'll have a good time going through and seeing if there are different things we could do. Oh, and we're going to talk about what just happened there, too, in the good and bad and ugly part. We've been talking about a lot of good. I really like that they carried over the Absolver system and refined it, made it a lot easier to digest. I love the really focused and modular style combat where you have to parry, you have to dodge, you have to duck out, you have to actually engage the fight in a meaningful fashion. Unless you're this chick. Beat up everyone because everyone is XP. I don't care that she was standing there. I need the XP. I need to level. You can see that there's different styles of fighting. You're not going to be fighting just a bunch of little itty-bitty nimble folk the entire time who are all absolute ninjas. You're going to be fighting bouncers. You're going to be fighting brawlers. You're going to fight wrestlers and boxers. You're going to be fighting a lot of people that have different ways to screw you over. Like this guy who just picks me up like a sack of potatoes and throws me in the ground. But as you can see, we're still at death counter 0, so we're in good shape. You get health back for your kills. It varies on the kill, the individual you're killing, and how you kill them. I highly suggest that you do the YB prompt takedowns because those oftentimes have more health than just outright beating them up. And how you kill them and the efficiency in which you kill them is going to be critical to you staying alive, because there are some kills that you'll pull off that will bring back entire chunks, half bars of health. And there are some that you might just get a smattering of health, a crumb of health, if you will. So let's talk about some of my complaints. This camera sucks. I can't, there's no way to get around saying it. This camera fucking sucks. It's not helped by the fact that you don't have a camera, and you also, if it's there, I didn't see it, you also don't have a lock-on system. You don't have a lock-on system. So that causes a lot of really weird issues when you're trying to fight multiple people at once. Because if I'm fighting 3 guys and I want to focus down one guy, all it takes is them shuffling ever so slightly, and now my focus is forced onto the second guy. This is also a problem because with no lock-on, a really big glaring issue that I see out the box is if I'm in the middle of fighting and someone approaches me from behind, there's no way for me to kind of quick snap, kind of two-step, or switch my feet in some way to face them and start fighting. I have to kind of do this weird jazzy slow dance where my character looks behind himself to observe and acknowledge that yes, I see you, but my back is still facing them, and now I either have to turn around completely or I need to acquire a move set that allows me to attack while an enemy is behind me. And you kind of just saw what happened there a little bit. I was fighting one guy, another guy happened to shuffle just in front of him, and I switched targets. And then you saw that the guy that was standing behind me, I didn't just immediately turn around. I started walking back towards him rather than having something available to say, I'm just going to back fist him now, or I'm going to back spin kick him, or give him a backside kick. Plenty of backside things that you could do that I don't know if you're going to be able to unlock it later. I don't know if that's a hidden move, but what I do know is that this camera gives me big time anxiety, especially if you wind up cornered, because the camera is always trying to stay behind you. And as I said, you'll see a little bit of everything in terms of fighting style, all walks of life. Here we're going to wind up fighting Sagat's cousin in order to clear the chapter out. This is the preview of Chapter 2, Part 1. And I didn't mention you also have access to focus strikes, which are really great openers to give you a chance to really start the fight in your favor. So, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really excited about it. I love these types of fighting games where it's just kind of much more open and you get to see more of the martial arts sides of it. You get to see the engagement and the back and forth of 2 competitors. I also have extreme bias. I am a second degree, or I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that, that's incorrect. I am a second dan black belt in Taekwondo, so martial arts games that try to really encapsulate the heart of martial arts have a really close spot to my heart. I'm going to give you a bullet list too of the good, the bad, the ugly that I saw in this, but I'm still looking forward to the preview. I'm most likely going to pick this up in February when it drops. Again, if you've played Absolver, you're going to come in with a little bit of a buffer. Good job on you. Excellent, A+, love that for you. If not, I say give it a shot. See how you like it. Enjoy the ride. I had a great time, even just in the training system you can see here, where I could work on my moves, work on my parries, work on my dodges. The dodges that allow you to dodge under and around attacks is still intact. And yeah, just enjoy watching me beat this man up because there's not much else to say. It's coming soon. If you want to get that fisticuff on, I suggest you pick it up, yeah?